We are going to begin this with a minute of silence. That will be followed by playing of a tone out, marking the moment of the beginning of the Valley Fire. After that, we'll again sit for another minute in remembrance and silence.
Station 34, vegetation fire, 8040 High Valley Road. Sky 1418, attack 140, tanker 85, tanker 86, copter 104, engine 1491, 1487, 6031, 1495, 1464, 6221, medic 6311, transport 14 Echo 1, 1443, water tender 6411, Knoxeye 1, one crew on order, vegetation fire, 8015 High Valley Road, Valley IC, LNU EC fire 2213.
Supervisor Pyska.
I want to thank all of you for coming here today and being with us for the 10-year anniversary of the Valley Fire. I'm Jessica Pyska, and I'm the District 5 Supervisor. And like so many of you, I was just living my normal, regular little life. On this day, 10 years ago, we were getting ready at the school garden to celebrate Cobb Elementary's big 30th anniversary party. The tone out that we just heard was at 1:24 p.m. on Saturday, September 12th, 2015. And I could see the start of the fire from my house. At 16 minutes later, I posted a picture on Facebook, and it's over there on one of the boards. And that was really the only warning that this community had. I said, there's a fire, it's windy. And that was basically, that was it, what we had. The fire moved very quickly. And when it crossed Bottle Rock Road, my husband and I knew that we had to leave our home. And we had 3 and 6-year-old children, so we put them in the car with our dog and our 5 chickens, and we started leaving our neighborhood. And what we had been seeing for the past half an hour, 45 minutes, nobody else in my neighborhood knew what was happening. We stopped at every house trying to alert everyone that they had to leave, and some people were arguing with me about it. But I just knew that people were going to die. And one of our neighbors did. He did not make it out. Today, we're here to honor those lives, to recognize the service, and to show how we are united in resiliency. We're going to honor the 5 people that died, the 4 firefighters who were injured. And we're recognizing all of you, our first responders, and so many more, and disaster workers who aren't here today with us, but who stepped up in our most difficult time, our darkest days, and in our time of need. The scope and scale of the Valley Fire caught us all off guard. We're going to hear from Sheriff Bingham, Chief Duncan, and CalFire Director Tyler about the response and the changes that have been made in public safety since. We lost people, we lost pets, we lost our homes, we lost our forest. But as much as we lost, we also found each other. It was like the walls around us all came down. And we came together to focus on recovery and rebuilding. Government agencies worked side by side with the utilities, with the tribes, with nonprofits, faith-based organizations, volunteers, and just regular people like a lot of you here. And the biggest lesson that we learned is that no one can do this work alone. And collaboration became one of our greatest strengths. I've spent a lot of time thinking this last month preparing for this event, how far we've come. It's remarkable. But we did it because we did it together. We showed up for each other. We built trust and we invested in our relationships. I spent this week at After the Fire USA's annual summit in Sonoma. And this is an organization that came up after the 2017 fires. And each year our club gets bigger. This year we welcomed the LA Fire delegation. Last year, the Maui folks. They call us the OG survivors because we laid that foundation. This was something that so many of us had not seen in our lifetime or in this generation of first responders and service workers. So we built that foundation of response, recovery, and innovation. And I am so pleased to have one of my partners from Rebuild Paradise here. We have a lot of folks that have come. Congressman Thompson's here, Supervisor Ann Cottrell from Napa. We have a lot of folks that came a long way because, Supervisor Gore's over there. We have come together in ways that we never expected to. And we did it because we all care about people and our communities and the future of communities in rural areas. So on behalf of the County of Lake, I want to thank all of you for coming here today. Survivors, families, first responders, volunteers, and partners, your presence here today is a testament of our shared commitment to each other and our future together. Thank you.
I will begin today with the readings of the names of those that lost their lives in the Valley Fire. Bruce Bevan Burns. Robert Taylor Fletcher. Robert Lichman. Barbara McWilliams. Leonard Neft. If you are able, please stand and join me in a moment of silence for those that were lost. Please be seated. We are here today to memorialize the day the Valley Fire began and to remember those who tragically lost their lives. For those of us who lived and worked through that fire, I doubt any of us will ever forget September 12th, 2015, or the days that followed. Where we were, what we were doing, the destruction we witnessed, and the deep loss we all felt. We are blessed to live in Lake County. I've always known that this community is resilient and capable of achieving what at times feels impossible. During and after the Valley Fire, that resilience was on full display. The way our community came together, supported one another, and worked to recover was inspiring and made me proud to serve this community. Tragic events such as the Valley Fire also drive improvement, and that is what I'd like to touch on today. Please don't mistake my intent. The response to the Valley Fire was dedicated, professional, and exemplary. From our first responders to our mutual aid partners, from the state, federal agencies, and to every member of this community, whether directly or indirectly impacted, the response was nothing short of extraordinary. But the reality is, as Socrates once said, I know that I know nothing. That reminder emphasizes that there is always gaps in our knowledge. There's always more to evaluate, to learn, and to improve. The Sheriff's Office and the Office of Emergency Services spends months and often years evaluating our response to incidents. We look at what was done right and where improvements can be made. This is done not out of criticism, but out of a commitment to ensure that we are providing the best service to our community. Because of that process, we have changed how we respond to fires, how we communicate, and how we notify our community, and we will continue to evolve. I am confident that through this process, through the dedication of our county, state, and federal partners, and most importantly, through the strength and resilience of our community, we are better prepared today than we have ever been. The tragedy of the Valley Fire will always be remembered by those who witnessed and were affected by it. Today, I thank all of you for your commitment to Lake County and to the enduring spirit that makes this community strong. Thank you.
Ten years ago today, this community faced a firestorm that tested us like never before. What began as a small flame, less than a mile that direction, became one of the most destructive fires we have ever seen. Within minutes, the fire had quadrupled in size, and within an hour, it was racing through Cobb and with it changing lives forever. That day, your brave firefighters put everything on the line. The Boggs Helitack crew was overrun. They had to deploy fire shelters, and 4 of those firefighters sustained severe burns. The fire had exploded in size and intensity. What was now a crown fire blasted through Boggs Forest with winds of 90 miles an hour, carrying flames and embers half a mile ahead. Entire communities were in its path: Middletown, Hidden Valley, and Cobb. I was assigned to structure protection in Cobb. My resources were 2 engines and 1 water tender. When I briefed my crew at the Cobb school that day, I said, "We can't let this school burn. We've lost so much already, and without this school, we lose the heart of our community." When that main fire front passed, flames still crept towards Cobb School. But I knew something as a Cobb parent that I also knew as a firefighter. The nature trail around the school could serve as a fire line. Together with a handful of other firefighters, we held that line. That trail kept the fire from reaching the school, and with that trail also kept the fire from taking down Cobb. For that, I'm grateful. Grateful to those firefighters, grateful to this community, and grateful I was able to welcome students back to Cobb School when it reopened. Today we remember the devastation, but more importantly, we honor the resilience. We chose to stay, we chose to rebuild, we chose Cobb as our home. 10 years later, we stand here not just to remember what was lost, but to remember what was saved and to strengthen what we continue to build together. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Tyler. I'm the Director and Fire Chief of CalFire. It's an honor to be able to speak here at the 10th anniversary today. I took a lot of time and I reflected on the memory of the Valley Fire. And uniquely, as a staff chief at the time, I don't have a lot of memories of the Valley Fire. I don't have a lot of memories of the Valley Fire because in the first few hours of the Valley Fire, I spent the next 3 weeks as the family liaison
at UC Davis Medical Center in the burn unit. When we had our 4 firefighters from Boggs Helitack Copter 104 burned over. So I won't be able to speak from a personal experience to the Valley Fire other than knowing the significant devastation and the lives that have been affected. What I can tell you is throughout my career, we saw things like the tunnel fire in 1991, and we said to ourselves, that is unique, it cannot happen to us. And in 1992, I experienced the fountain fire in Round Mountain in Shasta County, and we said, this burned an entire community and burned fast, maybe it can happen to us. And in 2003 and 2007 across Southern California, we recognized, pushed by wind events, significant destruction across San Diego. And we said to ourselves, the environment is changing. And then 2015 and the Valley Fire hit. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2020, and 2021. And we said something has to change. And this is where the communities began rallying around each other even more, recognizing something needed to change. And from the tribal, local, state, federal levels, we recognized things have to change. We cannot continue to lose property. We cannot continue to lose lives. We have to make our communities more resilient, and we have to make our landscapes more resilient. And in recognition of that, we found ourselves building Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force across the state. We began investing hundreds of millions of dollars in grant opportunities to try to reduce the risk in communities. And we bolstered resources at the local government level with the ability to pre-position resources in various counties, and CalFire as a whole continued to conduct staffing patterns to bolster resources when fire weather conditions presented itself. We recognize the need that we have to come together and continue to come together like you have as a community here today and since the Valley Fire to make ourselves more resilient. CalFire has continued to bolster its resources both in personnel, in aviation assets, in fire engines. The governor, regardless of your political view, the governor has invested over $2.8 billion in resilience since the Valley Fire in 2015. And I am grateful to be able to serve and support all of you, to be able to make a difference in your community or attempt to make a difference in your community. And while I am only the figure who is able to speak to all of you today, it really comes down to your local firefighters. It comes down to your state firefighters, your federal firefighters, Lake County Sheriff, the California Highway Patrol, and our nonprofits and community-built organizations that are going to make this difference and do make this difference every day. Your unit chief here in the Sonoma Lake Napa unit is Chief Ryan. We expect him to continue to do a great job and serve your community well, and I hope that he's doing that for you. On behalf of CalFire, thank you for the opportunity to speak here and to be here with you today at your 10th anniversary.
Thank you for the opportunity to join with you today. I'm Mike Thompson, and I'm the congressman from this area. And I want to thank everyone for being here, and I especially want to thank all of our public safety partners. Our first responders show up whenever there's a problem. They work collaboratively, police, fire. They do a remarkable job for us. Our second responders, all the people who are there, maybe one step back, who are dealing with the problems at the time and after the fact. Our communities pull together, and we can see it in the fire of 10 years ago. We can see it in any natural disaster that we've experienced. And God knows we've had more than our share. So thank you all very, very much. So the police and fire folks who are here know this, but in my office, we have a certain drill. If there's an emergency, either myself or my staff checks in, or the first responders check in with us. I want to know what's happening. I want to know how I can help. Most often, fortunately, it'll be there's a fire so-and-so, we've got an engine there, then 10 minutes later, we got it under control, it's not growing. But that's not always the case, as we know. And I'll never forget the Valley Fire. I was on the East Coast. Most of you remember Brad Honorado, who was my staff guy who took care of Lake County, called at 3 in the morning. And staff's pretty good about it. They know sometimes I need to be here, sometimes I just need to know what's going on. And Brad called at 3 and said, it wasn't there's a fire, it wasn't it's out of control, it wasn't they've got 9 engines on it, it was there's a fire in Lake County and you need to be here. And it's not always easy to get from the East Coast to Lake County at 3 in the morning. So it took a while. By the time I flew from Washington, D.C., layover in Houston, Texas, and then Texas to San Francisco, and then drive from San Francisco to my home in St. Helena, get a couple of hours of sleep, and then drove into Lake County just before the sun was coming up. And it was an horrific sight to see. And we all know the homes that were lost, the businesses that were lost, the lives that were lost. But coming into it, I'll never shake those sights and the feeling that I had. I'll always remember that. And I remember probably a couple days later being down at the fairgrounds in Calistoga, meeting with folks who were victims who were staying down there. And one man said, I have a house in, I believe it was Anderson Springs, and he said, I know my house is gone. I said, well, maybe not. I said, there's some that are still standing. He goes, no, I'm sure my house is gone. I said, well, I was just up there, and everything's not gone. There are still some homes. He said, as I put my car in drive, I looked in my rearview mirror, and I watched my house burn up. These are devastating events that will be with people forever. So the fact that we're here today to say thank you, to remember those who died, those who put their life on the line to make sure that we were safe, and the community that came together and rallied for everybody, it is very, very important. Jessica, I know you had a major hand in ensuring that today happened, and I want to thank you. So again, thank you all, and know that I'll always be here if there's a disaster. I'm about done with them, so if there's any strings anybody can pull, I'd like to get beyond that. But I think it's important for me to be here. Somebody needs to see with their own eyes what's happening on the ground to be able to go back to Washington and get the resources that we need. And I think we're able to get over $100 million for these events. And it's equally as important to make sure funding continues to flow to do the resiliency work so we don't have to deal with situations such as this. And Chief, thanks for the update on the improvements that had happened. You can really see it during this fire season. It's people have been on the focus, and they've done wonderful work. And in every instance, I'll tell you that the firefighters have told me that it's people doing the preventive work, the resiliency work on the ground that's made it easier. So thank you to all of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Moke Simon, Tribal Chairman, Middletown Rancheria, also former District 1 Supervisor. Was not a supervisor on September 12th, 2015. We had our general council meeting and had taken a break, and we walked outside the building. We said, oh, there's a fire. There's a fire on Cobb. So as a leader, we shut our meeting down. And I said, hey, I'm going to head out there. I'm going to see what's going on. We started to go through the community. Started to head towards Cobb. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. Made it as far as 175. Sat there for a few minutes with some old timers on the side of the road, looking at everyone evacuating, watching, I think it was the largest airplane I have ever seen drop retardant, and the stuff didn't even hit the ground. You know, the winds were 90 miles an hour. It was sideways. I'll never forget it. My phone is full of those photos. Immediately you thought, we've got to get out of here. We've got to get our community out of here. We've got to close our business, which is full. We've got to do all these types of things. And as it was said, it changed me for my entire life, and I know our entire family and our community. What I'll ask you today is to continue to do what we did the next days and every day since that event, which is stand up. If you can stand up right now, I'd like you to do that. Please stand up. From the bottom of my heart, from every first responder, second responder, state official, federal official, individual person that got a person out of their home or helped someone along, picked up an animal for someone who loved them like a family member, did everything. I always want this community to remember how we stood up for each other and what we've done in that 10 years since. There is no other community in the state of California that has the heart that is right here in Lake County. And I witnessed it. I saw the barriers drop, as Jessica said. I saw us come together and do things that were amazing and continue to do those things that are amazing. So today I speak from my heart that I love each and every one of the members here in this community, in this county, and we'll continue to just get better and better. Whether we go back to historical ways from our tribal cultural burns, to just working together, creating Firewise communities, supporting our first responders as much as they need, and continuing to make our elected officials put light on this climate change issue that's happening on Mother Earth to protect each and every one of us in the next 7 generations. Today, I just want to say thank you. And I'm proud to stand here today to be able to speak some words. But as the wind blows on us, just as we started this ceremony, Mother Earth understands that we're working in the right direction. So thank you. I love you. And that's what I have to say today. Oh.
Hi, I'm Kathy McCarthy. I'm the chair of the Cobb Area Council, and I invited Cindy Leonard to join me as one of the OG members of the Cobb Area Council. I'm going to go back a year prior to the Valley Fire because I remember watching the news after the 2014 Napa earthquake and the ensuing fires. This one couple was being interviewed. This poor woman was sobbing. "We've lost everything," she cried. And standing beside her husband, holding her tighter, he looked her in the eyes and with love and care, he said, "We haven't lost everything." And then she looked at him and reiterated, "Yes, we've lost everything." It was profound and bittersweet and human. And like the gentleman, I held the romantic belief that they would somehow be okay in the end. And 13 months later, there I was having the same conversations with my husband and loved ones. Now I was practically haunted by this couple. I wanted to know how they were after so much time had passed. Were they okay? And where would we be in a year? I held on tightly to the notion that we would be okay in the end. In fact, it became my mantra. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. But sometimes I wondered. And I shouldn't have. because members of this community held on to each other tightly. And we looked each other in the eyes and said, "We can do this."
For weeks after the fires, neighbors gathered regularly at local businesses to discuss concerns and next steps, to get updates from the water department, to find out what resources were available. Soon after, these took on a more formal tone, with so many chairs forming a circle and committees starting to form to take on problems. Trees being cut, a hazardous property that needed abatement, how to begin the process of rebuilding, and what to prioritize. Leaders began to stand out. Out of these hours was born the February 2016 the Valley Fire Rebuild Expo, which was held at Twin Pine Casino to inspire people to come back and rebuild. Not long after, the Cobb Area Council was officially brought into existence on July 19, 2016, a few months before the first anniversary of the Valley Fire. We voted on a board, we formed committees, we met, we reported, we collaborated. 4 community planning and informational meetings were held in April and November over the span of 2 years from 2018 to 2019. Cobb Safe, Cobb Resilient, with presentations and panel discussions which catapulted Cobb into the National Firewise Protection Association.
It was during the Cobb Safe event of April 2019 when we heard the first test of the warning siren alert system. The CAC had pursued and encouraged this as another layer in the multi-tiered effort to improve communication with the general public during emergencies. It was in the midst of all these events that the campfire in Chico took place. It was time for us to take these neighbors by the hand and try to guide them. A delegation was invited to Cobb to show them how far we had come, to assure them there was a way through, and that really maybe everything would turn out okay in the end.
In June of 2020, grants funded a resource hub for dissemination of information to residents about mitigation of fire hazards on their property, as well as a tool lending library featuring a very useful tool for removing invasive species of broom. On September 12, 2020, we hosted a parade to celebrate the reopening of the Rainbow Bridge.
And that was 5 years ago today. In 2021, we represented Cobb at the table with the California Department of Transportation, discussing the repair of another bridge when Highway 175 through Cobb was undergoing extensive repair work. The concerns for keeping evacuation corridors clear during fire season and red flag events brought forth solutions that were later used throughout California's rural areas, keeping other communities safe. And we began to see very clearly how far our work would reach. Meanwhile, the Cobb Area Network, a radio network, was a connection in a time of need, independent of electricity or the internet. It was a friendly voice during the darkest, stormiest night and a voice of calm reassurance during the long vigil of a red flag event. It was created in 2017 by members of the Cobb Area Council Communications Committee. It is primarily an early alert system and situational resource. This is before watch duty. But as secondarily, it was a backup communication system in the event of a local fire emergency. We still practice every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. with an alert test and check-ins. In August of 2019, with most of our houses in order, it was time to bring the fun back. We hosted a village night in the Hardisters parking lot with a pop-up vendor, live music, the coffee shop stayed open late, and the pizza place had its single best night of business.
Later that same month, we presented the first Blackberry Cobbler Festival. We invited local artisans, local vendors, local musicians. We invited the Lions Club to make cobbler and the Cobb PTO to host a fun zone. We planned for 500 visitors. We hoped for 200, and over 1,000 showed. Today, the festival provides a platform for Cobb community organizations to raise money for their individual projects. We showcase local businesses and artisans. We encourage our local businesses to create events in conjunction with the festival to create a community-wide celebration of what Cobb has to offer, all to improve the local economy and improve visibility of the Cobb area with the rest of the community.
3 weeks ago, we held our 5th successful festival with an estimated 5,000 attendees. It was also estimated to be 100 degrees. With smoke from the picket fire drifting in, it was a not so subtle reminder of what we had survived and how far we've come. 10 years ago, Cobb was the epicenter of the 3rd most destructive wildfire in all of California history. The magnitude of subsequent wildfires would seem to dwarf our tragedy, but instead, it gives us a chance to illuminate how a small community can hold on tight to itself and promise each other we haven't lost everything. And everything's going to be okay. There are several members of this community who have served on the Cobb Area Council who are here. I might ask you to stand and wave, and I thank you for your service to this community. There's another. We're all over. And thank you to those of you who do come regularly the 3rd Thursday of every month at the Little Red Schoolhouse at 6:30. Thank you.
Boy. Hello. My name's Elliot Hurwitz, and I'm the Executive Director of the Siegler Springs Community Redevelopment Association, or SSCRA, and honored to be your co-host this afternoon. SSCRA was founded here in Cobb in the weeks following the Valley Fire. Siegler Springs was one of the local subdivisions that destroyed in the fire, including the home I shared with my wife and partner, Magdalena Valderrama. You see, at that moment, even as we dove into the immediate relief work, it was crystal clear to us that even given the massive and heroic and creative efforts of so many people and organizations after the fire, the true road to a different future, one in which this kind of disaster could not happen again, would require building a truly new and different relationship to this landscape, including a more engaged and educated local citizenry, in a new relationship with each other. One of the miracles of the Valley Fire is that in its wake, we discovered a profound depth of caring here for this place. So in the aftermath of the fire, almost by magic it seems, this community found itself drawn together to forge a new way to live on this land. Perhaps it is a spirit in the land itself. After the fire, the principal or a principal mechanism by which this spirit was kindled and nurtured and continues to grow has been the most local groups, including over 36 nonprofit organizations, some church-affiliated, some social service, some fraternal, and not only just from Cobb. Can I ask representatives and volunteers of local nonprofits to raise your hands? You can get a sense of how many folks are out here. A lot of hands. Unfortunately, I don't have time to acknowledge each unique group and the special way they participated in the immediate relief, the still ongoing recovery, or the long-haul rebuilding we continue these days. However, I do feel I have to give a special bow of thanks to the Cobb Mountain Lions Club and its leadership, some of whom are no longer with us, which has held a center of gravity for us consistently over these past 10 years. Another example are the 6 local Firewise communities doing the most humble and essential work month after month of building a fire-adapted culture today here in Cobb. Together, the local nonprofit and volunteer groups here in Cobb have brought well over $1 million in outside assistance into the community. We have built enduring partnerships with our neighboring communities, our allies in Lakeport and Sacramento, and I want to acknowledge the representatives here from Assembly Majority Leader Aguilar Curry and Senator McGuire. Thank you for coming as well. And yes, in Washington. And we are so grateful for the consistent and ongoing support that you've given us. Our Pomo friends and colleagues here have told us that this mountain was a place of gathering, of peace, of collaboration for thousands of years, calling together a multitude of tribes from hundreds of miles around here to this place. That calling continues. And we feel how we're really just getting started. The first 10 years has shown us what we can do, and we have big plans to continue this work. We look forward to continuing to strengthen the alliances we have forged and to building new ones. Looking forward to a truly regenerated and fire-safe and fire-adapted and altogether resilient Cobb Mountain community. Thank you all very much. And we invite you to, there's more. But wait, there's more. Jessica, come on. Oh, of course. Yes.
Hello, everyone. We're here to present these plaques of appreciation. I'm E.J. Crandall, the chair of the Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Peiska has asked me to help with this, with these presentations of proclamation. This one's for the, yep. So I'll ask Moke up. Chairman Simon, if you can come up, please. We'd like to present this plaque to you on behalf of the Lake County Board of Supervisors to the Middletown Rancheria.
Stand on each side.
Yeah, so,
Is that all right? Go ahead and talk. I'll stand here.
this plaque is in dedication to the Middletown Rancheria of Pomo Indians of California by the County of Lake in honor of your steadfast support, collaboration, and community service in times of disaster. And we can go really far back, but we can start at 2015 and talk about the amount of times this tribe has opened their doors to care for the people, to shelter the people, to feed the people of this county. And they do it without hesitation. Whenever there is an issue, they always say yes. They stand up immediately. And it's not just in times of disaster, but it's pre-positioning too, making sure that when we have pre-positioned resources in county, they have a place to stay. When the power goes out and we had all those PSPSs, the doors were open. And this is a relationship and a partnership that feeds all of us. That is the foundation of all of us. So I just really want to thank you, Chairman Simon, and your council, your staff, everyone that cares for the people of our county. Thank you so much.
Wawinawa, Wawinawa, Solbat. Oh.
Once again, it was said earlier, the community does it together. The tribe always talks about being able to give back, but on that disastrous day, we were able to show what we were willing to do. So the people, the 262 tribal members of the Middletown Rancheria are humbled by this. This will hang in our new tribal administration building. And I just want to say thank you to the community, the county, and Jessica and EJ. It's an honor. I was able to serve with you through many different disasters, pandemics, to help with this, and everyone here in the audience. So humbled today and honored for this plaque. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to ask Kathy McCarthy to come back up. Cindy, you can come too. Yeah, so this, we're having two of these plaques made, one to be placed in the Cobb community and one to be placed in the Middletown community. It talks about the Valley Fire, the response, a lot of the topics that we've been talking about today, our theme today, honoring lives, recognizing service, united in resiliency. And it has the names of the people that we've lost. We're building a park in Cobb. It's not done. We're in process. Once our park is done, we're going to have a community-led monument that's built there. And that's where this plaque will live in eternity after that. Until then, it's going to live with the Cobb Area Council at the Little Red Schoolhouse under the care of the Cobb Mountain Lions.
Thank you. We shall be the
All right. That's okay. So again, I want to thank all of you for being here. It means so much to me personally, to this community, to all of our partners that are here, and all of you first responders. We're always going to have a debt of gratitude to you. Mandala Springs Wellness Center has offered this beautiful place up for us to come together and visit. There is going to be some refreshments provided, so I encourage you to stay a little while, talk to folks. We have several more events happening. We strategically planned these so that there's a different way for people to honor this anniversary in the way that works for them. So this evening from 5 to 7 p.m., the Cobb Mountain Lions Club at Little Red Schoolhouse will be open. And then tomorrow at the Middletown Park, 4 o'clock, a similar ceremony will happen then with Supervisor Owen. And then there will be another event at Middletown Arts Center in the evening. So I encourage you to come to any and all of these events and spend some time with your people. I've given a lot of hugs today, and I know I'm going to give many more this weekend. This really is about people. It's about community and people and all of us who spend our lives serving. So thank you so much.